and the 757. Good afternoon, Miss Georgia.
Good afternoon. I'm like, who is that lady? Who
Yeah,
is
I was
that?
saying the same thing. Hey, I got Diana Ross in here.
All right, all right. Is it Thursday again?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
Thursday high noon again?
Hey, ain't it funny? Time slips away.
All right, all right, all right. Well, anyway, good afternoon. This is Georgia Allen with GA for Justice, and I bring you greetings. And I want to welcome you, as always, to our weekly conversation for information, our weekly conversation for correction, as well as a weekly conversation for transformation. We first and foremost want to thank Mr. Henderson Vaughn, aka Captain 85, our producer, engineer, the
All
person
right.
that gives us opportunity to share information on the best of the 757 WVDM radio. It's always a pleasure to come to you each and every week to try to enlighten you about what is going on in our local community, but also having conversations regarding things that are going on around the nation. I don't worry about the rest of the world. We got enough mess here in Hampton Roads, here in uh, Virginia Beach, and here in the United States of America. So we don't even need to be getting in everybody else's business. So therefore, I try to keep my message clear and talking about things that concern us in our day-to-day lives. I'm extremely excited about today's show because a lot is changing here in Hampton Roads. We've had a number of issues with our local government, our local school board, and so, therefore, we want to try to help to enlighten people about some of the things that are taking place here in our community. Today, our topic, but before I do our topic, I just want to kick off today with just a little bit about Black History Month. As we kick off today's show, two things that are always front and center, that is Black history and Kwanzaa. Society would have you believe that Black people celebrate Kwanzaa for only 7 days, December the 24th through January the 1st. So, listening audience, that is not true. Many Black people live and celebrate the principle of Kwanzaa all year long. Society would also make you believe or think that we only celebrate Black history in February. That also is not true. Both commemorations are celebrated universally um, all year long. So it's not, both commemorations are celebrated. While Kwanzaa is celebrated between December the 26th and January the 1st, it is a universal celebration during that period of time. Likewise, Black History Month is a universal celebration during the month of February. But that does not negate the fact that many of us celebrate both of these commemorations throughout the entire year. Um, so let's be clear. No one gave us Black History Month. No one gave us that. And no one gave us Kwanzaa. Carter G. Woodson, who originally did Black History Month, Black History Week, he did it as a way to celebrate, reflect, as well as look forward. Uh, Malana Karinga created Kwanzaa to unite and empower. Two totally different reasons, two totally different celebrations. But at the end of the day, it's up to us. It's up to we, the Black community, to make sure that we define ourselves, that we name ourselves, that we create and speak for ourselves and not allow anybody, not anybody, not the government, not corporations, not these various organizations that come and go to speak for us in any capacity whatsoever. So I wanted to get that out there because we're coming to a close of the Black History Month that has been designated as a celebration in the month of February. But today's topic is it came to me this week, and a lot of times it just comes to me in the middle of the night when I try to come up with a topic for what I want to kind of speak to. It is sound the alarm, our house is burning down. And some of you may or may not know, I am now the first vice president of the Virginia Beach NAACP, effective January of 2023. Along with that, I am the chairperson of Religious Affairs Committee. So when I came up with this topic, I thought about religious affairs and I thought about the Black community over the years and how we use our faith to kind of give us a foundation. And what I looked at is what is happening around our community. And I want to remind the faith-based community, since I'm religious affairs chair, that folks, we don't sound the alarm because the house is on fire. We're sounding the alarm because the house is literally burning down. And you're probably saying, well, Georgia, what do you mean by that? Well, there's a number of reasons why we know that the house is burning down and that we need to go back and do some things that can change and transform and correct some of the things that has happened over the years. How do we know the house is burning down? Well, we know the house is burning down because we have seen failures. And what are some of the failures that we have seen? We have seen family failures. And you say, well, what do you mean by family failures? Well, first of all, we used to see ourselves as families, communities, neighborhoods, and now we're seeing ourselves as individuals. So therefore, you see a lot of things going on in our community and other communities. So our house is not the only house that's burning down, folks. They would, society would have you believe that our community and our community alone is responsible for everything that is negative in this nation. And so I'm here to correct that and let you know that other folks' houses are burning down too. It is not just our house, it's other houses as well. And so I want us to refocus our attention on what the issues are, but we also want to correct some of the things that have been happening and bring about some real solutions. Because just talking to people about the things that are occurring without also speaking to you about some of the things that we can do to make a difference, to make a change, is a waste of time and a waste of talk. So I want to make sure that we don't get in the habit of wasting people's time or taking time to talk about foolishness. And so with that being said, again, today's topic is sound the alarm, our house is burning down. Now, do we need to let the house burn down or do we want to put out the fire? And to my listening audience, do you want the house to burn down or do you want to put out the fire? So again, I want to talk about why the house is burning. Again, part of it is the family failures. What we have gotten accustomed to is a lot of technology where we no longer have conversations with one another, and we no longer have conversations a lot of time with our children, with our family. We no longer take that time to walk and go to the park. I can remember when my children were younger, we lived in the DC area for a while, and I would sometimes just go down by Route 1 where the planes would take off at National Airport. Route 1 also had the Potomac River. And so we could take a picnic, lunch, or dinner, or what have you, and just sit and relax. The kids could play in the park, they could do things in the park. And so it kept a family connectivity. And so we were individuals, we were a unit. So the reason why the house is burning down is we started becoming an individual again and we left our unit. So there are things that we can do personally, individually, as a collective to put that unit back together so that we can stop the burning and we can stop this fire. Okay. It is critically important that we have the conversation. And that conversation not only needs to take place in our households, that conversation needs to take place in our faith based community, in our church on Sunday, rather than sit around gossiping about what sister so and so did. Girl, did you see what he's wearing today? He should change his outfit because that sure enough doesn't look right. That's a waste of time, folks. So I want us to stop wasting a lot of time with foolishness talk and invest our time in developing a different outcome. What are some of the other failures? Government failures. Okay. Government is a failure in terms of our house burning down, our communities burning down, our neighborhoods burning down, when they divert the funds that we put into the tax coffer, into the government, and they divert that funds away from our community. That is part of why we need to sound the alarm and the house is burning down. No, I'm not a preacher. I get that all the time. No, I'm a speaker. I do speak, but no, I'm not a preacher. But guess what? If you are a minister and listening today, you might want to take this topic and maybe even take a particular scripture and talk about that in your houses of worship. But don't just tell people about the house burning down. Help them with resolutions and solutions. Okay. That's why I enjoy this show, is because we have the opportunity to do what is not being done out there. There's a lot of people on these different shows and they just want to bash and bang and do all of that stuff. That is not why Henderson and I looked at GA for Justice, because we understood that if we don't help people to identify ways to bring about justice, then we're just another talking head. And that was not what we wanted this show to be. So I again want to thank Henderson for allowing us this opportunity to open up the airwaves and be able to share information with the community. So yes, the government is a problem. Okay. A lot of times the government is disingenuous. The government doesn't do the things that it is designed to do in order to keep our community strong and to prevent the chaos and the confusions in our community. So we want to hold them accountable. And when I say we want to hold them accountable, I'm asking and encouraging you, one, to make sure you attend your council meetings. But before you go, take a look at the agenda. Call your friends and relatives and have a conversation with them, because sometimes they may have knowledge that you're not aware of, and that item that's on the agenda could be something that they could speak to because they have the knowledge to bring forth information that maybe you don't have. And the reason I'm using religious affairs, because I feel that we need to get back to faith in terms of the things that we do in our community and the things that we do in terms of solidifying who we are and strengthening who we are and building that foundation that has been slowly slipping away, that has allowed our house to burn down. Now, who else? What else are there failures? There's that education failure. We spend an enormous amount of money on putting money into the education system that send our children home uneducated. And we do. We got tax dollars from the federal government that's going to the education system. We have tax dollars from the state government going to our education system. We have tax dollars from the local government going to our education system. We have volunteers and public and private and nonprofit organizations working to try to have better outcomes. But somehow, our children are continuing to be miseducated or given an inappropriate education, or sometimes just given divisive education. So, here again, it is up to us if we want to stop this fire, if we want to stop the house from burning down, we're going to have to go to these school board meetings. We're going to have to give up some things. We're going to have to invest some time, and we're going to have to do those things that we felt like it was just going to get done. It's just going to get done. Well, to the listening audience, it is not just going to get done. You are going to have to participate. And so, with that being said, it is critically important that you try to get on some of these boards and commissions and committees that both your city government has and your city school boards have. And you say, well, what do you mean? What do I have to do? Well, sometimes it's a resume. Sometimes it's calling your school board member or your city council member and saying, hello, I looked online and I saw that you have a committee for curriculum. I would like to join that committee. Well, ma'am, there's not going to be an opening until 6 months from now. Okay, then put my name on the list, but also tell me when those meetings are. Because you know what I want to do? I want to go and sit in those meetings and sit around the table. Keep in mind, most meetings are open to the public. Therefore, even if you're not a member of the committee, you can be a watchdog. And when you go in those committee rooms and you hear what they're saying, and that doesn't sound right to you or sound beneficial for our children, pick up the phone, call all your friends and relatives and tell them to come down to the next meeting. And guess what? Send a letter to every last school board member that you're concerned about the decisions they're making with regards to curriculum. So today, I want to just kind of engage you for a moment and share with you for a moment and hopefully give you some information that will help you operate differently, because we can no longer operate as individuals. We must operate as collective. Again, this is Georgia Allen with GA for Justice, and today's topic is Sound the Alarm. Our house is burning down, but I want to help stop the fire. And so I want to share with you that if you're concerned about things that's going on city council with how they are voting, or if you're in a county and you have commissioners or what have you, county commissioners instead of city council members, then pick up the phone and call those county commissioners. Call your city council members if you're living in a city. There's a difference. What district do you live in? Do you know what district that you live in? Do you know who your representative is, both on city council and on school board? What about your state legislature person, legislator? Do you know who that is? Do you know who your congressperson is? Have you picked up the phone and called them? Have you sent them a letter? I was going through some old papers and found that I had a letter from President Obama, a letter from President Clinton, a letter from President George Bush, letters from Senator John Warner, a letter from Senator Tim Kaine, Senator Mark Warner. Well, Georgia, why do you have all those letters? Because I wrote them. I wrote them with my concerns and they responded. And if I can write and get a response, you can write and get a response too. And if you don't like that response, you can follow up. Just because they write you does and send you a response doesn't necessarily mean you are going to be okay with that response. Sometimes you're going to have to go a little bit further. Sometimes you might have to get a group together to pick up the phone. And so you dial, then the next person dial, then the next person dial. But because you're there together as a collective and you're not as an individual, guess what? You begin to feel a little bit more powerful, and you are. And what you do is you take that power that you have and you leverage it so that the house does not burn down. You got me? You understand what I'm trying to say to you? Because this is critically important. I do this show because I love it. I do this show because I hope that the 1 hour a week that I'm out here talking to the community, that something, a light bulb will go off, that something will click. I don't just do the show for me personally. I do the show because of all the many years that I have been fighting for justice, not for me, but for my children and my children's children and my children's children's children. Some that I may never see because I may not live that long. But when I'm fighting for them, I'm also fighting for all of you because the things that I fight for has to do with how things are operating and how things are being governed and how decisions are made and how money is spent. Had a situation recently. We have two events coming to the Hampton Roads area, but directly to Virginia Beach. One is Something in the Water, which is done by national artist Pharrell Williams, and another event is Country and Western. Well, when it came time for the city to allocate funding for the two groups, they allocated $250,000 for Something in the Water, while they allocated 1.2 or $1.5 million for the Country and Western event. Now, two different events. One is primarily strictly a total concert. The Something in the Water Festival is a combination of an educational event. There are workshops a lot of times that focus on the creative skills of persons who are in the local community that perhaps can get mentorship. They look at other things such as entrepreneurship. They look at the STEM programs when they come to Virginia Beach. The hotels are sold out. They're sold out for Something in the Water. I'm not sure if they're sold out for the festival for the Country Western, because a lot of times the Country Western Festival are primarily people who live here already. The Something in the Water Festival draws people from not only around the Hampton Roads area, but they also draw people from around the Commonwealth, from around the country, as well as from overseas. So therefore, people need hotel accommodations. Not only that, it's not just our city that receives benefit from the Something in the Water Festival, and our hotels here on the south side in Norfolk, Chesapeake are filled up. A lot of times our hotels are filled up all the way up to Williamsburg. Okay. So two different, and you have to ask yourself, who's bringing the most value? A ticket sale for one day at a concert or ticket sales for a weekend event that brings in a number of people who need accommodations, who go and shop at the stores, who go and sit in the restaurants, who use the various other services that are available when they come to our city. And so when we're going to our council members, pick up the phone, call them and say, help me to understand. Explain to me, lay it out as to why one festival received over $1 million and the other festival only received $250,000. Well, one is a concert. Okay. The other one is an entire festival event. Okay. So these are the type of things that I like to bring to the listening audience, because what I've discovered is I alone cannot do everything, or me and a few other people cannot do everything. But if I can engage the community, if I can educate the community, and now we have uh, 10,000 people in District 1 calling. We have 3,000 people in District 3 calling. We have 1,000 people over here in District 9 calling. But in our city, we have 10 districts. So if we got 1,000 people in every district calling and asking the question, why are you spending so much money on one group or one event and so little on another? Then now you can begin to push council in a different direction. Okay. Again, sound the alarm. Our house is burning down. So I feel like if they're going to give the Country Western group way more than they gave Something in the Water, then there's another indication of why our house is burning down and the investment is not being made in our community while it's being made in the other community. So we see that we have family failures in that we lose our communication, have lost some of our communication skills in terms of talking to each other. We've lost some of those communication skills in terms of that family connectivity that we once had. And most of it came out of our faith community. It was those chicken dinners on Sunday where we came together and talked, and we shared information about what was going on. How do I know that? Because back in the day when we didn't have the cell phone, when we didn't have the home telephone, when we didn't have the computer and the texting and all of this technology, when Dr. King was moving around the country, it was those Sunday gatherings that were used to share the information and pass information from one family to another church, to another group, to another organization. And so it was almost like a telephone tree without a telephone. It was our mouths making sure that everybody knew what was going on. And so if we were that strong, when we didn't have all of these resources, we should be 100 times or 1,000 times stronger in terms of our ability to leverage our power and to wield our power for the good of our community, for the good of our children and the next generation, and put the fire out and stop our house from burning down. With that being said, I'm going to swing over to Henderson and hear from him.
Yeah. Don't get me started today. Because, when it comes to, people don't want to think racism is gone. It's not. If I went to after the Something in the Water planning meeting, the Virginia Beach city made $20 million from Something in the Water. Now you tell me. And the white people are already complaining about the prices of the tickets, the hotel, coming to the concert, the Country Western. They're already complaining. So it's okay to get our bag, because even if there's venues and people doing, Afro Americans have tables, and they got to pay taxes on everything they sell. So every time it comes to us, they try to make out that they're doing us a favor, but yet they only taking our money. We always had a large event, because that's what happened when they was doing a college weekend. Right. That weekend has always been big in Virginia Beach. But because Pharrell is an international known, he's bringing people from overseas.
Absolutely.
And that's the phenomenon when you got all these people down there and you are making, and this is advertisement that Virginia Beach don't even have to
Have to
spend.
pay for it.
They don't have to
Exactly.
pay for it.
Exactly.
You're talking about the X number of people there, the amount of money that that people are paying. I ain't heard nobody say, I don't know if the country people are paying for parking. They had the tickets went on sale yesterday to get the parking for something in the water. I ain't heard nobody say nothing about the country people paying something, So we are what they still, we sometimes as Black people, whatever nationality you want to be called, they know we control X number of dollars. They know that. So what they do is they try to feed us with a long handled spoon.
Right.
And what we have to do, that's why city council, as big as it is, should be filled with Black people. They should be down there complaining about every little thing, because without raising your voice, it leaves it on one person like you and a couple of others. They have to do all the work. And what cities do is they pacify you in listening. We're going to check that.
Right.
And it'll be 2-3 years later, and they're still checking on the same.
And they're still checking.
If the government has already told them that that's redlining, and they're taking tax dollars to fight it, when the judge already said you got to get rid of it. Until more Black people, and people truly, truly don't understand, something in the water just didn't get there because of Pharrell.
Right.
The late, great George Mintz.
And others.
March down in Virginia Beach. They'll say, oh, we can do this because, let's do something, because I'm getting tired of being in the news that we ain't doing nothing.
Right.
And what happened is what they do, they know they're gonna see. The thing is with city government, they know they can weigh you down. Hey, look, give me a call next week.
Right.
And Virginia Beach is good for it.
That's the intention. That is the intent.
Right.
Is to keep putting it off until after a while they feel like you're going to get frustrated and you're not going to be bothered. That is why it is critically important that we don't operate as individuals, but we operate as a collective. So when they decide that they're going to keep putting me off, then somebody else steps up, and then 2 or 3 more step up, and then 4 or 5 more step up, and 5 or 6 more step up. And then now we got a whole group of people stepping up, and you can no longer decide as a city that, oh, well, if I can just keep saying, let me check on this, or if I can just keep saying, I'm going to get back to you on that. And so they use that, like you're sharing, they use that type of terminology, which says, I'm really not going to do anything. I'm really trying my best not to do a thing. So what we have to do is come together in unity. What Kwanzaa says to us is umoja. And when I look at this show, and you and I both know, when I look at this show, Imani, faith, I'm talking religious affairs today. All of this stuff gets back to what we're doing foundationally in terms of our beliefs, in terms of our morals, in terms of our ethics. All of this gets right back to that. Because if we have to sound the alarm because our house is burning down, there has to be somebody that's going to come and put out the fire.
Right.
Okay. And that takes some moral skills. Okay. That takes, because let me tell you, just going to put somebody's house out because you have the skill set from a standpoint of, I've learned how to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
You better have a little bit of faith in that too, because you don't want to burn up when you're trying to put out the fire.
Trust me. I've been in that situation where one of my neighbors left the kids home, 3 kids. She went to the store and the house caught a fire. And I tried to put it out, but that fire, when you throw water on fire, it jumps.
Yep.
It jumps to the other side of the room. It's like it
Right.
got a man of its own. And the house burned down.
Mhm.
But if the kids didn't knock on the door and say, hey, I think my house is on fire. And they were like 6 and 7. So people don't understand the urgency of what your message is. The alarm is, this is not a picnic. This is not somebody coming over and you're having a barbecue in the backyard. The house is burning down, bro.
It's burning down. It's not just on fire.
Right.
This house is literally burning down. And that's why I decided not to use sound the alarm, the house is on fire, because I did not want our people to get into the mindset, well, it's just on fire. We put some water on it. We can put the fire out. No. Sounding the alarm because the house is burning down gives a particular urgency. And the point of today's message is I need my folks here in the city of Virginia Beach to get urgent about what's going on here. Okay. There are also corporate failures. Okay. The corporate failures are things such as they look to pretend to be trying to improve the situation when in fact they're interested more in that soundbite that says my name, my brand did something.
Right.
Now, did they solve the problem? No. But my brand said I helped out. So my brand said I was trying to make things better. But the brand doesn't say that I stood up for justice and that I made sure that I solved the situation. See, and this is where what I'm talking about today, solutions. We want you to solve the problems of the difficult situations. Okay. If I'm hungry, I can go to my next door neighbor and say, you know what? Things have been going a little slow right now. Can you give me some food? I solved that myself. But if I want food for a long time, I need you to do a little bit more than give me a meal for one day. Okay? Yeah. I need a little bit more than a meal for one day. And so what I hear from our corporations is that they will do something to give them some publicity and some sound bites so that they can say, oh, I'm one of the good guys. I'm one of the good guys. Well, if the house is on fire and if the house is burning down, I need more than niceties. I need a little bit more than niceties. Right. I need you to literally do what needs to be done, which is I need you to make some firm decisions as it pertains to what is taking place in the city of Virginia Beach. Okay. I need you to make some decisions that are firm. I need you to resolve the issue. And the issue in Virginia Beach is that they're continuing to allow a small group, just like they're doing on the national level, to control almost everything in this city. And even electing people to office, you're not necessarily able to rely on them to make decisions that are decisions in the best interest of the citizenry. Right. So that's why I'm sounding the alarm. That's why I'm letting you know the house is on fire, because I need some of you guys to get up. I need you to leave your homes. I need you to go to City Hall. I need you to speak out on issues. I need you to call your city council members. I need you to call your school board members. I need you to send them a letter. I need you to ask your church to create a letter to send to them with regards to how the city is moving the dollars around, but not in our favor. Right. And so I'm sounding the alarm on GA for Justice today. And just like I'm sounding the alarm for my city, Virginia Beach, Virginia, wherever you are in the country, you can use the same tactic. you can use the same message when you're talking to the people in your respective cities, in your respective counties, and ask them to have their friends and their relatives to go with you to council meetings, to call the pastor of a church and say, can you bring a busload of people to the council meeting? And you call the next church, can you bring a busload of people to the council meeting? The van is sitting in your parking lot. It's sitting in your parking lot.
Hello.
It's religious affairs today. I'm talking religious affairs. And our job as a religious affairs person is to bring these groups and organizations together and to talk about civil rights and equity, talk about our struggle, talk about providing the resource and assistance for religious education and social action and activism. Okay, we have got to have some activism in the city of Virginia Beach. It's not enough for just a few people to go to council meetings every other Tuesday. It is not enough to have a few people to go down to school board every other Tuesday. We need more people who really care about their children. Because see, it's not just caring about your city, it's caring about the next generation. Because if you don't do something now, if you don't do something now, if you don't call them and say, I want that 10 district member system to be in effect, and I don't want you to change a doggone thing. So if you're listening to me, whether you listen now or whether you listen later, I need everybody, regardless of race, creed, or color, to pick up that phone and call your city council member and say, I'm calling you from District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I need the churches, if there are churches in District 1, I need you to get all your churches together and say, look, we need this election system to stay in place. It is important that we get this election and keep it in place so that we're able to decide who we're going to elect to represent us. And if they're not doing the job, we have the ability to remove them and replace them. That's the whole point of local districts, is it gives the people the power instead of giving the money the power. Because see, we had a district, which was District 10, where the young lady spent somewhere around $20,000 to run for office. Her opponent spent something like $160,000 or $180,000. I have it on another sheet of paper to run. She beat her not by a few votes, but overwhelmingly beat the lady with the most money. Now, that could not happen very easily if she had to run in the entire city. But because she was able to run in a district, she could walk to almost every house in that district.
Yeah.
If she had to run in the whole entire city of over almost 500,000 people, that's going to be a real challenge to do that. So, to my listening audience, the work that we're doing, the things that we do, is for you, your children, and those who are coming behind us. And I want you to understand that very, very clearly as I talk about the house is on fire, it's burning down. As I talk to you about sounding the alarm.
Can I sound it for 1 minute?
Yes, sound the alarm.
So they'll know what it sounds like.
Sound the alarm, please.
Yeah, let me put it up there because I don't want them to misinterpret that they don't know what alarm sound like.
Right. Yeah, sound the alarm because I need them to understand. Yes. Yes. Sound the alarm today. This is serious business, people.
Yeah.
This is serious business. This is such serious business. After going to our city council meeting this week and listening to our sheriff department, our sheriff department decided he doesn't have enough power. He wants some more. Okay. You know,
Sad.
he doesn't like just working alongside the police department. He wants to be the police department.
Oh.
Okay. So these are the type of things that we need more voices at our city council meetings to speak to some of these issues. And those of you who are in law enforcement, you can go down there and tell them that is not acceptable. Those of you who are and mostly we're looking for some people who are retired from law enforcement, because of course, if you're working for the sheriff department, it's a little bit hard to talk about your boss at the city council meeting. If you're working for the police department, it's a little tough to talk about your boss at the city council meeting. But if you are retired, and we have a lot of retired police officers from other cities and other states, and that is throughout the country. People leave one state and go to another state when they go into retirement.
Yeah.
So if you have a background in some of these areas, if you have a background in education, background in healthcare, background in any of these areas, we need you to come forward. We need you to get engaged. And of course, since I am speaking to religious affairs, the NAACP, we need you guys to join the NAACP. And whether you're listening now or listen later, you can always put notes in the chat. We can go back to the chat later and find out who you are, and then reach out to you so that you can become a local member of our local branches, because you don't necessarily live in Virginia Beach. You could be living in some of the other cities, but reach out so that we can make sure that you get connected, because it is going to be critically important that we grow our civil rights organization, because after the last federal administration, things kind of got convoluted substantially. And if you don't believe me, ask the people up in Ohio that had the train situation. Okay. The house is on fire. It's not just on fire right here, it's on fire nationally. And so, for all of those of you who voted for this person who had no experience whatsoever in running anything, not even his own company, because if he had some real experience, it wouldn't have to go bankrupt so many times. Okay. So to hire somebody who has been bankrupt over and over again to run our federal government as the commander in chief, then you cannot get angry when he said that the company, the railroad company, didn't need any type of guardrails to make sure that they followed a policy that was a policy of safety. And if he pulled all of those things away from the railroad system, and the railroad exploded in your area and put smoke in your area, you said you believed in capitalism. So why are you angry at the government when you said the government is already too big?
Hello.
Sound the alarm.
You want me to do it again?
Sound the alarm, okay?
Right.
Sound the alarm. The house is burning down.
Yes, sir.
So, with that being said, I don't want to hear these people who talk about, oh, it's too much government, and then turn around and say, well, what the government gonna do about it? Ask the guy who owns the company that had the railroad. Ask him to fix it. Ask him to clean it up. Because see, now you asking for my tax dollars to clean up the mess in your state. And if it rolled over into the next state and the next state, and all y'all voted for that guy, and he said, I'm more concerned about the powerful than the powerless, then don't ask for my tax dollars to fix your mess. Do I need to repeat that?
I'm telling you.
Do I need to repeat that? Yes. So I'm just telling you, if you were more interested in the powerful than in the powerless, then don't ask for my tax dollars to fix your mess, because you wanted that person to run the United States of America. He took all the guardrails off of the airlines. He took the guardrails off of the railroads. He took the guardrails off over here. And then you want the next administration. Well, this is what's happening to us. Can you fix it for us? Well, you said you didn't want no government.
Hello.
You told us that. You told us that. Because see, you only want government when government is in somebody else's business. Okay?
Yeah.
You want the government to tell somebody what to do in their bedroom, but you don't want the government to tell somebody they have safety measures in place so that when they go across a bridge, their truck doesn't drop all of its cargo in the middle of the bridge and these logs are rolling all over the bridge, and now it's hitting your vehicle. You don't want the government to put any restrictions in place regarding that. But yet, you get angry if the log hits your car. Folks, we need to sound the alarm because the house is burning down. The house is burning down. Okay. And so I think I hit on all four failures. Family failures, that's when we're not communicating enough with each other. Our government failures, when they divert the funds or they don't put guardrails to protect us against corporations who won't follow the rules and guidelines for safety. Education failures, when our educators are busy spending time talking about things like CRT than ensuring that our kids are safe in the schoolhouse or ensuring that our kids are getting the best education. And then we have the corporate failures. And those are the people who want to sit around and not really do any real substantive things that will make it better for all of us. They just want to get the soundbite out there, to get their brand out there, and to pretend that they're doing something. But none of it is to solve a problem. None of it is about getting real positive results. And so what we have is a situation where we have results or consequences or effects, and then we end up with an outcome that is not positive. So what I want to say to you guys is you got an opportunity. I'm coming to the close of the show today. We have a few more minutes and you have an opportunity. I've kind of laid it out for you. I gave you some strategies. I gave you some information because, again, this show is about having a conversation to provide you with information, having a conversation to correct things that have been told you that are not true, and then a conversation about transformation. And transformation is the real important key because you're going to have to transform the way you have been living because you want to stay in your cocoon. And I'm sorry, when there's a caterpillar, that butterfly got to come out that cocoon, sweetheart. So all of you who's sitting around thinking that you can stay inside the caterpillar, you can't. You got to come out of the cocoon. You're going to have to go to school board meetings. You're going to have to go to city council meetings. You're going to have to pick up the phone. You're going to have to call these people, and you're going to have to let them know that you're concerned about these issues. And if you're not sure who to contact, I guarantee you most of the ministers around the city of Virginia Beach have either heard of me know something about me or know something about the different groups and organizations who have been fighting relentlessly on your behalf. So, with that being said, again, this is GA for Justice radio show every Thursday at 12 o'clock noon. Today's topic was sound the alarm. The house is burning down. And I used that because I didn't want to say the house is just on fire because y'all would have gone out there with a bucket of water and thought you could put it out. No, it's burning down. So we need more than a bucket of water. And we need more than a doggone water hose, okay? And that burning down situation is not just happening here in the city of Virginia Beach, it's happening all around our nation. And we need you to get up, get engaged, and hold your elected officials accountable. With that being said, again, this is Georgia Allen with GA for Justice. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Our special guest will be Stephanie Furby with Culture by Ellie. And she has some awesome things that she's been doing over the last few months. And we're so excited to have her come next week at 12 noon. So, with that being said, I hear that alarm. It's time to go.
Now that's the alarm for them people to get up and start doing something in the neighborhoods and the communities. You know. Once again, you've been listening and viewing GA for Justice with Georgia Allen, former president of the NAACP. And what's your new position now?
I am the first vice president of the NAACP Virginia Beach branch, but I also chair the Religious Affairs Committee. So I'll be meeting with ministers and talking with them about how their congregation or themselves can get more engaged in this fight for justice. We got a fight on our hand.
Yeah. Until next week, we sounded the alarm this week because it's not just Black History Month. It's a life that has to be saved. Mm-hmm. Until next time, you've been watching GA for Justice. And don't forget to share this with some people on your page. Until next Thursday at 12 noon on WVDM Radio. Goodbye.
Take care.